Taurus, June for you is going to be a month of big, big transformations and changes. And in some ways, the universe might be asking you to speak up and make those big, bold transformations happen. The universe will also be making things happen in your life so that it's almost like a bit of a nudge, a bit of a kickstart into getting you moving into a new way of being, into a new journey, a new experience. And don't for a moment think that you're not able for these new journeys or experiences, because over the longest period of time, you've been preparing for this. You've been practicing for this, Taurus. So when the big changes start coming this month, you'll be ready. You'll be optimistic, you'll be positive, and you'll say, you know what? This is actually a long time overdue. Bring it on. Bring it on. So why is all of this happening, my love? Well, let's get to it. Let's do as we always do. We'll shuffle the cards. We'll wait on all the right ones to come out for you, my love. And in the meantime, we'll talk about these energies. So what's going on? There are so many retrograding energies this month. But on the good side, Venus, your ruler, does go direct this month on June 25th. But you have a long period in the month where she is still retrograding. Saturn is retrograding, of course, Pluto, Jupiter, and this month we've got Neptune retrograding, but we also have the dreaded Mercury retrograding this month. Yeah, it's going to be retrograding in Cancer on June 18th in your third house. But the big thing I want to focus on first, you're saying, is that not enough? There's a bigger thing than all of this retrograde energy? Well, there is actually. This is eclipse season also. You're saying, no, please, somebody, when is 2020 going to end? We're halfway there now, aren't we? We're nearly there. Yeah. But June is eclipse season, meaning that we have a big lunar eclipse happening on June 5th in Sagittarius in your 8th house. And we have a solar eclipse then on June, what date is it again? 21st in Cancer in your 3rd house. So the lunar eclipse is the big one, I feel. It's happening in Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is all about a broad, expanding view, bigger horizons, bigger fish to fry, bigger places to go, bigger things to experience. And that sits in your 8th house of a moment where before you can have these new experiences, something very big and transformative must kickstart that. And you're saying, I don't know if I like the sound of this. I'm not sure if this sounds good. I like transformation. That's okay. Going into bigger, broader experiences, I'm okay with that. But I don't like this thing about the universe giving me this kind of cosmic kickstart into this new experience. So I understand that, I really do. As your first card hops out and you're saying, really, is this going to get good? You're going to tell me something good, because I don't like the look of this first card. It does get good, so just bear with me. So the universe is coming in to kickstart something. Yeah, kickstart something that is important. For me, I get the sense, Taurus, it's like something is very long overdue. Something, it's been there. It's been like a feeling that's been there, an intuition that's been there. You knew something was going to change. You knew a transformation was coming, but it was almost like you were sitting in the waiting room of the train station. You knew the train was going to come. You're there with your ticket, but you're like watching the clock saying, I don't know, is this thing on time or what's happening? I know I'm waiting for a big change, but I don't know how I'm going to instigate that, implement that. And that's why the universe is coming in, saying, look, I'll give you the push here, Taurus. I will just kind of get that bull kind of prodded and get it moving so that you can get on and start plowing these new fields to reap your harvest. And for me, again, just going back to that thing, I really strongly feel, Taurus, it's something that you know is about to change. And even 8th house represents births. It represents the passing away of things too. But it's almost like something's about to be born. Something is about to be born, and the moment before something is born, of course, that's where the maximum pressure is. That's where everything feels like it's contracting, constricting, and at times even maybe painful, you know. So it might feel like that, Taurus, but these are birthing pains. This is the moment where you, in some way, are actually born again. Because let's not underestimate a lunar eclipse in the 8th house, where we are transformed, but ultimately to be remade, reborn, rejuvenated, where we are brought back to life, where we level up and go into the next point of our journey, the more mature part of our journey. So there is a leveling up, a maturity, but something has to go before something can be gained. And I do also sense that too here, even with Venus retrograding, even the energy of Mars there also a little bit, a feeling of winning, but to gain the win, you have to let go of something. So, for example, say if it's your career, to gain a win, you have to let go of the comfort zone that you've been in about your business or about the work that you're doing. Maybe with all the energy that's going on out there, maybe it's not possible anymore to work in the same way you have been before everything kicked off in the world. And there's a feeling of, this is really uncomfortable, but in order to win, I have to let go of what was fixed, what was solid, what was steady, what I had grown very comfortable within. So it could be work, it could be relationships too, because with a full moon lunar eclipse in the 8th house, there could be a feeling of, it's time for me to communicate my feelings on a very, very deep level. I need to have a conversation with somebody that I'm in a relationship with, like a business relationship, a love relationship, some other one-on-one relationship. I need to have a conversation with them and start having that, you know, that outbound conversation. How do we untangle ourselves from each other? How do we dissolve this union, dissolve this business? How do we divide assets? You know, how do we sell a house or a property, or even say move out from somewhere? How do we divide money? You know, so again, I don't want you to panic, Taurus. I really don't want you to panic, because I'd say at this stage you're now saying, this sounds serious shit here. But in some way it is. I'm not going to underestimate it or sugarcoat it, Taurus. But it's the moment where these things have to happen in order for you to be transformed and rise into the next part of your whole life experience. So as I said, maybe very difficult and transformative conversations with people that could get very, very down to the last detail. You know, I own this and you own that. You know, you owe me that money and I'll pay this back, and then we're quits. So, I know, there is a feeling of, do I have to buckle up here for this month? Yes. Again, Taurus, as the Taurus card comes out in reverse, which isn't a bad thing, Taurus, but it means that this is marking a little period of chaos, or feeling a little bit like your world is turning upside down. For what? For what reason? In order to make it right again, but better right. You know, not just to kind of put it back to where it was, but to put it back in a better place. And I really do feel that for so many of you, even just tuning into the energy, it's, you know, I couldn't really imagine what it would take for me to strike out and do something that I want to do. To strike out and be independent of certain people. To strike out and move in a new direction. I could never imagine how I would fulfill what I know intuitively is a destiny. I just never knew what it would be, what it would take to get that ball rolling. And again, that's why I'm saying this is where the universe comes in and says, Taurus, I've heard you, I understand you, I know your deepest desires, I know your deepest needs. I hear what your intuition is saying. I hear, and bear with me now even when I say this, I hear that you've been screaming on the inside for something big to happen. and not knowing how to initiate it. The universe is like saying, I've heard you. I have heard you. I don't want you to be raging on the inside, screaming on the inside to get out and unstuck of a situation. I'm coming in like Super Cosmos to help you. To help you. Now, again, when the cosmos comes in to help us, sometimes it does it with a very light touch and sometimes not so much with a light touch. And that will vary from Taurus to Taurus, you know. I know some of you are saying, I hope I get the light touch. I hope I get the light touch. It will be right. Whatever it will be exactly fine-tuned and tailor-made specifically for you. That's what I strongly feel. Excuse me. But we have the new moon happening this month, just to change it up a little bit, to see where we're kind of counteracting things. If something is kind of being reborn and things are getting reshifted, what can I maybe look towards? So we've two things. We're going to look towards the new moon maybe and the north node of destiny. The new moon in your third house of this new ability to communicate, to get in with groups of people, to feel secure actually. This might sound very unusual, Taurus, but to become emotionally secure through the connections you're making with people who would be deemed as kind of acquaintances. And you're saying, but if they're acquaintances, how could I really get emotionally invested in them? Well, acquaintances could be neighbours. After everything that's been going on out there, maybe some of you might have a new fresh start with neighbours. It's like, oh, look, let's not fight over that loud music you play anymore, life's too short. Or let's hang out with the neighbours more, or let's be more polite to them, or, you know, let's ask them, listen, are you okay? I'm going down to the supermarket. Do you need anything back? And actually getting a level of emotional satisfaction because you're getting involved in some like community activity, but very, very, very local community activity. And even also with brothers, sisters, cousins, like people that you're not ever really going to sit down and have a great big heart to heart with. But rather people that every couple of minutes there's a feel-good factor. It's like, hi neighbour, you know, hi brother, hi sister, how are you getting on? And that, in a very strange sense, is topping you up in some way, Taurus. You're feeling very inspired, very motivated, and very in good humour because you're speaking more or communicating more with people that you probably would have just walked past before. You would have walked past them in the park or heading down to the shop or something like that. This time it's like, no, I'm going to stop and talk to them. You know, I'm going to get the dog, bring it out, and if I see somebody else with another dog, I'll actually stop and I'll ask them, hey, what kind of dog is that? What's their name? And I'm actually going to top up myself some way by having these very, very kind of how's the weather kind of conversation. And we can't underestimate that. Because you'll be dealing with your own stuff and everybody else is also dealing with your own stuff. And sometimes we just need these little bright faces in our day just to say good morning, just to say hello, or just to think of us. They come back from the store and they bring back something for you and say, I thought of you. You know, there's something very precious and valuable in that. You've got the North Node of Destiny this month in your second house of wanting to speak more. I don't want to be so lost and isolated. I don't want to be in a community of people and I don't know who lives next door to me anymore. I feel very abandoned and lost and isolated. So I need to speak up more. Mars is playing a part in that also this month. Mars is saying that for some of you also this month, that some of the connections you have with certain groups, certain friends, certain people, that you're feeling very disconnected from them, very isolated from them. Kind of when you see the phone call coming in, there's a reluctance to answer it, you know, or maybe you don't and you say, can I call you back in a few minutes? And then you have to go away and think about it and then call them. So it's like there's a disconnect between certain friends and people and a reconnection with these very, very light-hearted, somewhat superficial connections. And people never value superficial connections, because we're in a world now where, oh, that person is very superficial. That person is, it's almost like it's a bad thing to have superficial connections with people. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Now, they can't be the only connections we have, but they cheer us up. It's a wave to our neighbour. If we are going to work at the moment and we go into the office, it's a nod of the head to somebody that you pass by on your way to work. You get it? You get it. So there's all that energy topping up your soul as we are moving through these big changes. Yeah, random communications with people, but feeling very hesitant, or like this is a new thing. I'll get to this towards the end of the reading, but at the end of the month, even getting invitations to go somewhere, like a neighbour, again, neighbour, friend, somebody that you don't particularly know, a work contact, just saying, hey, you know, there's a bunch of us doing something, would you like to be part of it? And you're like, do it. Do it. As I get this one last card out, the Magician in reverse. Yeah, it's difficult to arrive at crossroads, Taurus, and that's why I'm focusing specifically on this energy, because I sense the major energy for you, outside of the nitty-gritty and the small details, is this real, here we go, I am changing, and I am being tested to change. I'm being tested to have random conversations with people. I'm being tested to change how I think about things. I'm being tested maybe to study things or open up about things. I'm being tested, and this isn't easy for me. It will get easy, and it's just part of your journey. So, you know, pack a bag, make sure you have your travel tickets, and let's get going on this journey, because it's a definite destination that you want to be at. So, speaking of destinations that we want to be at, let's get at these cards. So, my love, let's go over to your big grand, ta-da, your overview. So, we open up the month, Taurus, with a feeling of, it's a feeling of hurt, being seriously hurt by how somebody is speaking to you, or even how they're not speaking to you. Because I also get a sense for some of you that a feeling of digging in your heels until somebody apologizes to you. Why don't they apologize? They're so obviously in the wrong, but yet they want me to apologize. And they keep adding hurt onto the existing hurt. They keep layering more hurt onto this. I feel for many of you that there has been either a serious debate, argument, or confrontation with somebody that you love or care very much about or respect. And there's a feeling of this person is very insensitive. They don't know how to speak from a good place. They don't know how to speak fairly. They don't know how to take my feelings into consideration. They don't take so much of what matters to me into consideration at all when they speak. I get the impression that you're dealing with or kind of having a face-off with somebody. It could have been from last month, because we did talk about that last month, but it's still lingering, that face-off with somebody that you're just getting no satisfaction from them. And it's almost like they want you to apologize to them. And yet it was they who said the things that were very hurtful, or who said the ridiculous things, or who went too far in an argument. But they just keep coming with it. They keep coming with that same argument. I also get the feeling here that some of you are very wary of somebody and the things they're saying. Can I trust this person? Every time they say something to me, my intuition makes me feel like they've done something on me. You know, somebody could be saying all the right words, but you walk away from the conversation and there's a feeling like, did they just hit me emotionally? But yeah, I'm searching what they said, and I can't find what it is that they exactly said that hurt me so much. So it's almost even for some of you like somebody throwing little energetic digs at you. Somebody could be very nice, very, very nice. But you feel like an intuitive body blow. You feel they would give anything to just say something to hurt me. So this is quite a serious issue then, Taurus, because I do feel, as I said earlier, the feeling of they really owe me an apology. They really need to talk to me. They really need to understand that I'm not made of wood here, that I actually do have feelings, I have a heart. I wish they'd communicate with me in a way that isn't hurting me so much. I will say this, that for some of you, not all of you, and again, cross-watchers, please don't panic because it may not be you. But for some of you, I think you have really reached a limit with some connection that you have with somebody, be it a love relationship, a friendship, family contact or something. There's an argument, there's a debate that's ongoing that it just seems like this is never going to get fixed. I keep wanting to have this serious conversation with this person, and every time we open this conversation, it just actually makes things worse. Is this person too proud to apologize, therefore they keep on with the argument? What is it about them? Why don't they want to make peace? Why don't they want to make peace? Why do they want to keep this argument and conflict and gnarliness going? Why do they keep wanting to hurt me with their words? And why can't they get what I'm trying to say to them? That's the other thing I feel. It's a feeling of I keep explaining it to them over and over and over again. And it's almost like they're not getting it. Is there anybody home? Is there anybody in there? What's so difficult about what it is that I'm trying to ask for or explain or solve or sort out? It's not that difficult. This person seems to have great difficulty in understanding where you're coming from. And I think this is what's leading you into that strange place, a very unsettled place. Taurus, I feel here with the sun moving into Gemini and then on the 20th of June into Cancer, I just get a feeling of some of you in your own private time thinking about how you can talk to this person. It's like I see some of you going away and saying, how do I solve this? How do I resolve this? What do I have to say to make this better? What do I have to say to fix it? What do I have to say to get it back on track? Say if it's a relationship, excuse me, and an argument has gotten very out of hand. And it's almost like the moment of, is there any coming back from this now? Things have been said that can't be unsaid. Things have been done that can no longer be undone. They've been done. So how do I fix this? Because I'm not going to feel right in myself until this is fixed. Now, I will say this to you here, Taurus. There's something I would suggest to you here too, and you're saying, oh, here we go, what's this? I would also just take a moment, if you can, to ask yourself if you have also seen where they are coming from. Because this is the energy, it's a Taurus card, but when it's reversed, it's that moment of really digging in your heels and absolutely putting cloth in your ears and not listening to anything but your own truth. And you're saying, wait, what? Are you telling me I'm wrong? I'm not saying that at all. I think there's something that you might also, in your own time, in your own quiet time, have a look at and examine and explore, to ask yourself, am I actually also listening to what they need? Or am I just digging in my heels until they do what I ask them to do? And the reason I'm saying that to you, apart from it being a kind of good exercise in general, but it could also be contributing to this feeling of uneasiness. You may be adding something to that feeling of uneasiness and insecurity by not just having a moment, just for a second, to say, am I actually also listening? Because for some of you, it may not apply to all of you, because for some of you, I do sense a moment when you do that and think about it, that you say, okay, I have been accusing them of being very difficult, but maybe I also kind of didn't see where they were coming from. But okay, so that might help things, but it still doesn't take away from the fact that somebody's not helping you, let's say, resolve a conflict, you know. I think in a different way, that it's like both of you are coming at it from a very, very different angle. And I think that's why it's so hard. As much as they might be hurting you, Taurus, I get the feeling that you might also be hurting them. And you're saying, this reading, I don't know if I approve of this reading. I come here for you to tell me what I need to do to kind of get good, and now here you are telling me that I'm maybe a little bit part of a problem here. Well, it happens, Taurus. This is the way it is. We all kind of fall into that trap sometimes, and all we're really asked to do is just have a moment of introspection, because with the sun in the second house, there's a moment of introspection about, have I chosen my words right? Have I expressed myself in a very honourable way, in a way that actually does genuinely resonate with some good feeling in my heart? And then after that review, having a moment then to reopen a conversation, but from a totally different mindset. And this could be how things get resolved. And this could be also how the other person finally comes to you and apologises. So just bear that in mind. It's just how to end this conflict, and that could be how it's done. Now, mid-month. Again, Taurus, I do still feel this thing going on about you feeling like you're giving up so much. I'm giving up so much. I have to sacrifice so much. I have to let go of so much. And it's such pressure, and it's such a task. And like last month, which we touched upon, I also feel that somebody is making more trouble for me than is necessary. Look, we've had this conversation, Taurus, about somebody being an obstacle and making your life difficult because they want to persist with an argument. I really feel here, Taurus, it's like, move away. You're not going to win anything here by continuing this debate, by continuing this argument. Mars there in the 11th house, just have some objectivity here. Kind of remove yourself a little bit and let go of this argument. See it from a higher point of view. Release an argument. That's what I really feel, because you'd be so much smarter and wiser and far more enlightened, because with all the energy over the last while, Saturn had been there, Pluto and Jupiter in your 9th house. You've matured, you've grown, you've woken up. You've become enlightened over the last period of time, and we're dealing with a moment of you now having again to be that bigger person here, Taurus, to say, well, it's no great loss if I have to back down from an argument. It's no great loss if I have to move away from certain people. It's no great loss if I have to cut my losses and turn in a different direction. It's no great loss. Yeah, I feel that with you, Taurus. It's like this is the thing that I didn't want to lose. But now, with this maturity that I have now, I'm kind of shaking my head and saying, you know what, it's no great loss, or I can handle this. I can move on from this. I don't need to be constricted or held down or tied down to something that is just something that I could so easily let go of and move on from. Okay? Yeah, 2 Capricorn cards showing up here. Now, Pluto and Jupiter are retrograding in Capricorn. For me, it's the transformation of a relationship. A love relationship, some connection that you have through work, a strong bond you have with somebody is changing. Now, on one hand, I have to say this, it could change for the better. But for many of you, I do feel that it's time for you to sever ties and see something as it's run its course. This is just the end. This is just how it has to be. I don't have to be in that relationship with that person if we're just always fighting all the time, or if it's just constant arguments. I don't have to be in a project with a person if it's the same thing, that they're just a constant obstacle. I don't have to be trying to get blood out of a stone with somebody when it's just really not going to happen. In some cases, I should cut my losses and move on, but not kind of throw everything away. You can do this very intelligently. With the lunar eclipse in the 8th house, you can say, well, let's get real. As we're changing this, as this is transforming, let's divide out things. Let's be practical. Let's be very real about this as this transformation is happening. Let's be very literal about money, about who lives where, who gets this part of the business, who gets that share, who inherits that. Let's be super literal about this and wrap all of this up, because I need my security back. Taurus, I'm sorry if the way I'm describing the energy seems very tough or hard. It's a strange thing, because even though it is quite challenging, what's the undercurrent, what's being pushed up through it, is this sense of freedom. I would never have made this decision to just walk away or to just accept that something has happened, accept that something has had its time, accept that we all go through phases and somebody's just waxing out of my life. I would never before have accepted this type of transformation, and yet here I am now being nudged by the universe, and I completely and totally get it. I get it. I would never have initiated something like this myself, but now I see what needs to be done. Now I see the wisdom of what's driving this. Now I know that this is exactly what I need to do. And now I grasp that the decisions I make and the moves that are happening in my life this month are no accident at all. That this is part of my new destiny. You know? So for me it feels a bit bittersweet, but very powerful. Letting something go and realizing with your head held high, this is where I'm going now. And once you do that, Taurus, I feel towards the end of the month your strength starts to come back. I do feel some of you putting a great bit of distance between you and somebody. It could be a love connection or a friend connection, family connection. It's like there's distance now. And now that this situation or this person is further away from me, now I have my security back. You know, I even get the sense for some of you of whether you do it or not. I don't know if you'll actually do it, but I feel that some of you are putting a lot of effort into the cost of something, weighing up the cost. weighing up the cost of moving somewhere, changing your home, weighing up the cost of, could I live independently of somebody? Could I go it alone without sharing my resources with somebody? Could I actually thrive in my life if I severed ties with certain people, certain friends or certain things? There's a feeling of, I'm calculating this up in my private time and weighing up the cost of this. What price is there to pay for moving on? And I feel many of you are very surprised that one of the biggest things that you'll gain is this emotional freedom. So there was actually a greater cost or a greater price to pay in being in a very conflictual situation, a very, very tense situation. That had a bigger price to pay. The anxiety, the worry, the doubt, the why aren't we working this shit out? Why can't we just get this right? Why are you being a deliberate obstacle in my life? There was a bigger price to pay there. And the feeling of, and yet, when I shift focus just for a moment and ask myself, what is the cost of not being part of that? It seems that there's more value in it, that I get some greater level of comfort. But again, I am saying this, Taurus, and I am sorry, don't shoot the messenger here, but I do feel that there's a bitter sweetness to this, calculating how I can move on through this, adding up or counting the cost of leaving something behind so that you can emerge and transform into something bigger, better, and more beautiful. So as you look over your shoulder, there is a moment of, I'm sorry that it had to be this way. It's a pity that it had to change like this. This transformation is sad. And yet, at the same time, here I am ready for the next version of my experience of life. And I'm really looking forward to it. And I've never felt more secure than I have in a long time in a period of uncertainty. The transformation itself, even though it's still all quite rocky and uncertain, has brought back the first foundation of being able to relax. I no longer have to resent somebody anymore. I no longer have to have somebody getting in the way of my future anymore. I have no longer somebody blocking me from my happy ever after anymore. Now, these are two very mercurial cards. This, of course, is Mercury Hermes, who rules Gemini, also Virgo energy. But the feeling here, the North Node of Destiny in Gemini, it's saying, we're shifting your energy, we're turning you around, you're going on a major detour here. And buckle up, because it is going to feel uncomfortable. But one of the ways that you can handle this is by allowing these new things to happen. Don't fear these new choices, these new roads, these new paths, these new connections that are coming your way. Don't fear opening up to the possibilities of new things, because that's where the magic is. If you feel very unsettled in these times, if you're looking for a solid place, something to hold on to, something to grab, something that keeps your feet steady on the ground, it is the acceptance of these new things. The newer it is, the new roads, the new chances, the new opportunities, the new acquaintances that you're making, the new small talk that you're going to begin opening up to again, the new correspondence, the new journaling, writing, studying, taking night classes, teaching, being taught something. It's like the more you're opening up your mind and kind of taking a peek out for the first time and saying, there is so much out there. I should really reach for this, because this will give me a great level of steadiness. And what I want to leave behind is a lot of the tricky arguments, debates, words, connections that I have with people, the people who are messy. I've got to leave them behind. The people who are emotionally messy, who speak their emotions in a very hurtful way, who speak to hurt my emotions, these people are getting the big celestial cut. They're getting chopped, because I just want something gentler, but at the same time brighter. So there's a feeling of these new paths with these new bright, sparkly people are almost like a remedy for some of the very heavy moods that you've been locked in with certain people. There could have been very, very heavy relationships, very draining, every conversation was just brought you down. It's like, no, come on. The remedy is to start bringing it up, to start having a laugh with people, to start having these seemingly meaningless conversations with people, but they actually mean a whole lot to you. So, my love, I'm going to leave it at that. Now, I know we kind of touched upon kind of unusual transformative energy. We didn't really go into huge details, but you know where to come by now for the actual details of the month, to know what's going on in your relationship, maybe some changes going on there for the couples. The singles, is there love energy? Maybe in some new places, but we'll focus on that too. We'll have a look at your money, your career, home, family and friends, and of course all the things that we don't touch upon in the general reading. We'll get very, very focused in the deep read on VIMEO, and you know by now how to get there. Down there below in the description box there's a link. Click into it, come on over, my love, and I'll meet you over there and we'll get stuck into it. But if we are going to leave it at that this month, Taurus, you know, enjoy the changes that are coming, because as I said very, very early in the reading, I think the universe has heard you. For me, it's like they heard what you were screaming on the inside, and the universe is now saying, okay, here we come. We're going to make these big changes. So get ready, because you are ready. So, my love, let's leave it at that. As I said, see you over at VIMEO, but if we leave it at that, as always, my beautiful, I will leave you with all my love and a great, great, great big kiss from me to you. Until next month, my gorgeous. Bye.